And we welcome you into this 1-hour edition of America's Forum for Monday morning. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Thank you so much for spending part of your time with us. And some major changes are coming to Newsmax TV starting tomorrow. We will update you on those throughout the program today. Meantime, 9, count them 9, possible Republican presidential candidates, some official, some waiting. We're in Iowa looking to change some voters' opinions, speaking to 1,000 evangelical Christians at the Point of Grace Church in Des Moines on Saturday. With the 2016 campaign already underway for all intents and purposes, the question is, just how important is the evangelical vote to Republican presidential candidates, especially with the increasing focus on social issues? For more on the story, we're pleased to be joined by Bob Vander, who is the CEO of The Family Leader. He is Skyping in this morning from Iowa. We're also joined by John Zogby, the senior analyst for Zogby Analytics and the co-author of First Global's Understanding, Managing, and Unleashing Our Millennial Generation. And gentlemen, we thank you both for spending time here on America's Forum. So Bob, you saw those 9 candidates, some of them potential candidates. Who would you say, in your opinion, made the biggest impact at the event?
Well, first of all, JD, I think you already realize this, but we have a great field in 2016, and that's the good news and the bad news. Good news is a great field, a lot of full spectrum conservatives. The bad news is a great field, which means it's going to effectively divide our vote. And if we have that kind of a splintering, can we really unite around one? But I think what you saw on Saturday night is, which is really no surprise to us, all of them did well. I think what you see is a Governor Mike Huckabee and a Rick Santorum kind of holding their own of their 2008 and 2012 caucus victories. But you also got a guy like Bobby Jindal, who I think is being the surprise right now. A lot of people are resonating towards a Governor Bobby Jindal for his conservative message. And then Ted Cruz is showing bold and courageous leadership, and he's got a great apparatus on the ground already here in Iowa.
Well, Bob is being very diplomatic this morning and pointing out what's going on. John, I don't know if you've taken any looks at numbers in Iowa, but in terms of the importance of the evangelical Christian vote to the eventual Republican nominee, based on what you've seen in the past, how important do you think it's going to be overall nationwide, John Zogby?
Not as important as it's been. It's going to continue to be important in Iowa, and Iowa, of course, is always important because it winnows in and winnows out winners and losers. But the fact is that the Iowa winner, particularly on the Republican side, is not necessarily the nominee. Certainly very important, giving him or her the media, the money, the momentum to go into New Hampshire, which is, of course, a completely different state. So 2 parts to your question. Number one, how important are the Iowa caucuses and the conservative evangelical movement? Very important. Winnowing out candidates. How important ultimately to the nominee? Not as important.
Bob, as we took a look at the 9 who showed up in Des Moines over the weekend, a couple of folks missing of note. For example, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, I guess regarded more as establishment types, but also absent Dr. Ben Carson, if I'm not mistaken. Any reason for Dr. Carson's absence?
Yeah, I'm not sure on any one of those three. Those 3 campaigns didn't contact me to say, should they attend or not attend. But I do think it's a mistake, because anytime you have a venue like this with 1,000 caucus goers, even if they're probably not your natural base, there's only opportunity for pickup there. So I'm sure Jeb Bush, and I visited with Jeb Bush, he is going to compete and compete hard in Iowa and even for this base. And I think Governor Christie will, and I know Ben Carson will as well. He's been to one of our events before, and he'll be at future events of ours as well.
Let me switch gears to another big story. Another Bush made news. That's George W. Bush in a closed-door session, basically telling a Jewish American group he was really blasting President Obama's foreign policy. Bob, when you think about George W., what kind of impact will he have on Jeb and the Iowa caucuses? About 30 seconds.
Well, the Bushes have been very successful here in Iowa, both George H.W. Bush, the dad, and then George W. So he's going to have a tremendous impact on Jeb Bush, and Jeb's got a built-in network here already because of that. And I think George W. is right on that foreign policy. It's a disaster. And that's why we're looking for a full spectrum conservative this go around, not just a one angle conservative.
To be continued, gentlemen. We thank you very much. Bob Vander, Skyping in from Iowa, and John Zogby up in Utica, New York, the author or the co-author of First Global's Understanding, Managing, and Unleashing Our Millennial Generation. Now, millennials, baby boomers, kids of all ages, a change in our programming tomorrow night. You'll see me tomorrow night. The new program, Newsmax Prime. It premieres at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Rerun at 8 o'clock Pacific time, too. Stay tuned.